The story begins in the quiet hush of a child's bedroom, bathed in the dim glow of a single lamp. The walls are lined with posters of superheroes and a shelf cluttered with toys, some forgotten, others arranged with care. A small desk holds half-finished homework, a pencil left mid-sentence. The air is still, save for the faint hum of the house settling into night. At the center of it all sits a boy, no older than 10, cross-legged on his bed, absorbed in a comic book. His fingers trace the colorful panels, his lips moving slightly as he reads the dialogue to himself. The room is his sanctuary, a place where monsters only exist on the pages of his books. Then, a noise, a soft creak, like a footstep that doesn't belong. The boy's head jerks up, his breath catching. His eyes dart to the door, locked from the inside, the key still in place. He always locks it at night, just in case. The curtains stir, though the window is shut tight. The lamp flickers once, twice, casting long, wavering shadows across the walls. The boy's own shadow stretches behind him, distorted and too tall for his small frame. He swallows hard, gripping the comic tighter. Then his shadow moves, not with him, on its own. It tilts its head as if curious. The boy freezes. His breath comes shallow, his pulse loud in his ears. The lamp flickers again, and in that split second of darkness, he feels something, cold fingers brushing the back of his neck. When the light returns, the comic book slips from his hands, hitting the floor with a muffled thud. The bed is empty, the room is silent. Only the boy's shadow remains, etched onto the wall, frozen in a moment of terror, its hollow eyes staring at the spot where he once sat. And then, slowly, the corners of its mouth begin to rise. The locked room isn't just a setting, it's a contradiction, a place that should be safe, but isn't. Let's peel back the layers of this scene to understand why it unsettles and what it hides beneath the surface. The room is a child's space. Toys, homework, superhero posters, all symbols of innocence. But notice the details that undermine that safety. A child shouldn't need to lock himself in. Why does he? Has he heard noises before? Felt watched? The lock isn't just physical. It's psychological, a barrier against something already in the house. He's reading tales of heroes and monsters, unaware his room is becoming the very story he holds. When it falls, it's not just a jump scare, it's the moment fantasy overtakes reality. Shadows are passive, silent followers until they're not. Here, the horror comes from perverting a fundamental law. Light casts shadow. It doesn't breathe life into it. The shadow tilts its head first, not mirroring the boy. This is the breach, the moment the natural order cracks. Shadows don't have expressions. This one does. It's not just a remnant, it's a replacement, claiming the space the boy occupied. If the shadow is learning, imitating the boy's fear, then smiling, does that mean it's becoming him? Or was it always something else wearing his shape? The air in the room thickens the moment the boy's shadow peels itself from the wall. The lamp's glow dims, as if the light itself is afraid. The comic book slips from his fingers, not in slow motion, but unnaturally fast, like time hiccuped. His hands hover in the air for a fraction of a second, still shaped around the absent weight of the pages. Then the silence breaks. A whisper, not from the shadow, but from everywhere at once. A chorus of voices just below hearing, like static from a dead channel. The boy opens his mouth to scream, but his breath crystallizes in his lungs. His shadow lurches forward, no longer tethered to his body, its elongated fingers stretching toward his throat. The lamp flickers wildly, casting strobe light glimpses of the horror. The boy scrambling backward, knees digging into the mattress. The shadow's hands clamped over his mouth, its inky form bleeding into his skin. The boy's eyes, wide, wet with terror, reflecting not the room, but a void, darkness. When the light steadies, the bed is empty. The sheets are smooth, untouched, as if no one had ever sat there. Only the comic book on the floor proves he existed at all. And then, the shadow. It stands motionless on the wall, no longer a flat silhouette, but a presence with depth. It's wrong in ways the mind struggles to articulate, the proportions skewed, arms too long, fingers too many, the edges vibrating like a mirage. Worst of all is its face, or lack thereof. Where the boy's features should be, there's only a smudged outline, as if someone tried to erase him and gave up halfway. A wet sound, like ink dripping onto paper. The shadow's head cocks to the side, and then it smiles. Shadows are slaves to light. This one chooses. Its movement isn't just supernatural, it's hungry. The boy's scream is stolen, making the audience lean in, straining to hear what isn't there. Horror lives in that silence. It's not triumphant, it's practicing, learning how to wear human emotion. By the time the parents burst in, it might have mastered it. The comic book's fallen page, if flipped over, shows a hero being consumed by his own silhouette. But that's a reveal for later. Would you like to delve into the sound design that could amplify this scene, or explore how the shadow's behavior mirrors real-life paranormal accounts? The disappearance isn't an event, it's an unraveling. As the boy's reality distorts, we witness something far more terrifying than a simple vanishing act. This is the moment when the laws of physics become suggestions, when childhood innocence confronts the incomprehensible. The lamp's flickering creates a strobe effect, each flash revealing subtle deteriorations in the room's integrity. The wallpaper behind the boy appears slightly different. The pattern is wrong. The comic book at his feet shows different artwork. His reflection in the window doesn't match his movements. The brief scent of ozone and something organic, like opened earth. What we first perceive as the boy's shadow is actually something far more ancient, a stain where reality has worn thin. As it peels away from the wall, we see the shadow isn't two-dimensional, it has depth, but of a wrong kind, like staring into a fourth dimension. Its movements create faint cracks in the air behind it, as if space itself is fragile glass. When it touches the boy, his skin briefly becomes transparent, revealing swirling galaxies beneath first. His voice vanishes, his mouth moves in silent scream, then his color drains away, leaving a monochrome version. His edges begin to fray, particles of him drifting upward. Finally, his entire form folds inward like a collapsing star. The shadow isn't just a remnant, it's a recording. If one were to press an ear against the wall, faint whispers in the boy's voice, but speaking in reverse, occasional bursts of childish laughter at wrong moments, the sound of a pencil writing, though nothing's there. This isn't the first disappearance. Careful observers might notice faint, older shadows barely visible beneath the wallpaper, a date scratched into the desk that matches no known calendar. The comic book's price tag shows a currency that doesn't exist. The house doesn't feel empty when the mother first touches the doorknob. Her knuckles rap against the wood, once, twice, a morning ritual performed half asleep. "Time for school, sweetheart," she murmurs, already turning away. It's the silence that stops her. Not ordinary silence, but thick silence, the kind that presses against your eardrums like deep water. When the key won't turn, it's always unlocked by morning. She presses her ear to the door. No rustling sheets, no sleepy grumbles, just nothing. A nothing so complete it makes her ribs ache. The door splinters inward with a sound like a bone snapping. Cold air rushes out, not winter chill, but the damp, mineral cold of a cave deep underground. The room is wrong before she even processes why. The bed is perfectly made. The comic book lies closed on the nightstand. The lamp's bulb is dead, not cast by anything, not moving with the light. Just there, painted on the wall in greasy darkness, its edges too crisp, too deliberate. It's her son's silhouette, frozen mid-reach, but the proportions are off. The fingers too long, the neck at an unnatural angle. Her breath comes in shallow gasps as she approaches. The shadow doesn't move, but when her trembling fingers brush the wall, the temperature drops so fast her teeth chatter and the shadow's head turns just slightly, with a sound like pencil lead dragging across paper. On the desk, the boy's homework sits unfinished. The last math problem reads, "If a boy disappears but his shadow stays, what percentage of him remains?" Beneath it, in shaky child's handwriting, the wrong answer gets you taken too. She'll never tell the police about how the shadow's chest rose and fell with invisible breath, or how, when she finally screamed, the curtains billowed inward from a window that hadn't been opened in years. Or worst of all, how in the split second before she fled, she could have sworn the shadow winked at her. Would you like to explore the psychological impact of this scene on the mother's character arc, or analyze how the shadow's behavior mirrors real-world accounts of supernatural phenomena? The mother's slippered feet leave no prints in the carpet dust as she approaches her son's door. This is the first wrong thing she doesn't notice. The second is the smell. Not the expected morning musk of sleep-warm pajamas and breakfast cereal, but the crisp ozone scent of a television left on too long, mingled with something organic beneath it, like wet mushrooms growing behind drywall. Her knuckles hover an inch from the wood. Some primal synapse fires, a warning her conscious mind hasn't caught up to yet. When her fingers finally make contact, the door feels resistant, not locked, not stuck, but momentarily unwilling, like pushing against the surface tension of a body of water just before breaking through. The police lights paint the neighborhood in pulsing blues and reds, but inside the boy's bedroom, the colors don't quite stick. The walls drink in the light like blotting paper, leaving investigators squinting at their clipboards under the sickly glow of a single bulb that wasn't there before. Detective Carson knows something is wrong the moment he steps across the threshold. His digital recorder captures only static. His pen leaks ink without reason. The temperature reads 72 degrees Fahrenheit on his thermometer, yet his breath fogs in the air like a winter morning. The forensic team documents anomalies that defy protocol. Fingerprint powder clinging to empty air 6 inches above the bed. A perfect circle of frost on the windowsill in the shape of a small hand. Strands of hair that lengthen when placed in evidence bags. Photographs that develop with an extra figure always just outside the frame. When the mother recounts the shadow's movement, the lights flicker in sequence, left to right, like something passing between bulbs. The detective's notebook fills with frantic writing, not his own. It's not a shadow, it's a door, it's a door, it's a... The sentence ends in a pencil lead snapped clean through the paper. Back at the station, Carson's computer types a 37-page document overnight. Page 36 contains only a child's crayon drawing of a door. Page 37 consists of coordinates that, when mapped, point to every missing child case in the state, all clustered around the same impossible location beneath the boy's house. When the detective returns to the bedroom, Eddie finds his own shadow is missing. The wall where it should be remains stubbornly, terribly blank, and from the evidence bag on the desk, The boy's wristwatch begins to chime. The forensic team doesn't realize they've crossed into something beyond science until it's far too late. Their flashlights carve trembling circles in the gloom, revealing impossible details that vanish when examined directly. The room resists their investigation like a living thing. Tape measures coil like snakes, camera lenses fog with breath that isn't there, and every photograph develops with the same eerie defect, a blurred area exactly where the shadow hangs on the wall. Detective Carson watches the playback in horror for the 17th time. On screen, the mother calmly describes finding the shadow, but in the reflection of the interrogation room's two-way mirror, a different scene plays out. The mother's mouth continues moving after her recorded voice stops. Her hands are pressed against the glass from the inside. The shadow grows visibly in the reflection, spreading across surfaces the real camera shows to be untouched. When he rewinds the tape, new details appear. A child's fingerprints materialize on the table between them, forming a pattern that matches no known fingerprint classification system. The house has been quiet for weeks. The police have closed their investigation. The family has moved away, leaving the boy's bedroom untouched. His toys still scattered, his bed sheets still rumpled, his shadow still waiting on the wall. Then, on the first night of winter, the detective returns. Carson stands in the doorway, his flashlight trembling in his grip. He shouldn't be here. The case is closed. But he can't shake the feeling that something has been calling him back. A whisper in his dreams. A pressure behind his eyes. A name he can't quite remember. The room is colder than before. The air smells like ozone and burnt sugar. And the shadow is no longer on the wall. The family photos on the dresser have changed. The boy has vanished from every picture, leaving only empty space where he once stood. His name has been erased from school records, from birth certificates, from memory. Even Carson's notes now describe an empty room, as if the investigation had always been about nothing at all. The thing wearing the boy's face tilts its head, and for a moment its features flicker, revealing something hollow and hungry beneath. It speaks in a voice that isn't human. We trade places. We always have. The detective's flashlight dies. The room plunges into darkness. When the power returns, Carson is gone. Only his shadow remains on the wall, reaching out, frozen in terror. And in the hallway, footsteps creak toward the next bedroom. Detective Carson stands in the boy's bedroom for what he thinks is the first time. The wallpaper peels at the edges, revealing older layers beneath, each version displaying a different child's missing poster. His flashlight beam cuts through dust motes that hang too still, like a paused video. Then he sees it. The shadow isn't on the wall anymore. It's pooled at his feet, clinging to his shoes like spilled ink. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. See you in the next one. Bye for now.